You found us. How are you? It's Emil. It's Emil Guillermo. Emil Amok to you. Just another day, and we're not even in the Trump administration. It's another day in Trump world, and the guy isn't even officially the president. He's only president-elect. He's causing vast amounts of trouble and concern. And if this is what you wanted, disruption over democracy, you got it. You got it. I mean, this is the state of not just our nation, but the state of the world, because he's the leader of the free world. And what Trump has done in the last, well, since he started announcing his nominees for his cabinet, has been one shocker after another. Everyone is talking. I suppose that if you're trying to run a show business enterprise, if you're trying to run a ratings-led sort of operation, like a reality TV show, then this is the way to do it. I mean, I was a talk show host in San Francisco and Washington, D.C., and polarizing people and getting people all upset, so they're ringing your phones off the hook. When we did it by phone, people called up. I guess they still do. But, ratings are everything. And, yeah, that's a good thing for showbiz, but is it a good thing for governance? And I mean, when I say governance, I mean Democrat, Republican, whomever. Is it really a good way to run a country? And I think this is one of the things that is startling to many people, that the voters said, yeah, let's try it. What have we got to lose? Plenty, actually. Our sanity? I mean, yesterday was supposed to be a nice day where Trump is invited to the White House and we can speak about the peaceful transition. And people are talking about, well, if he's such a junior Hitler, well, there it is, Hitler, and they're walking with Biden, and no one seems to make a big deal about it. So I guess the Democrats were just like talking out their butts, right? Again, with no basis. Because all they were doing was just trying to put that fear in us, right? They're not going to fear. They're not going to fool the public, right? I mean, that's sort of what the pro-Trumpers are saying. But in fact, there was Trump with Biden at the Oval, the bust of MLK, the bust of RFK, flanking them, the fireplace burning. It's almost like it's set up to be Nero fiddles while Rome burns kind of situation for the next Trump presidency. Because as he was doing that, there were all these announcements about, we had Hegseth for Department of Defense. We had, we had Tulsi Gabbard. We had Matt Gaetz. I mean, people were saying, Matt Gaetz, you're not serious, are you? Yeah. I mean, and they're still... They said it all day yesterday. They're saying it today. Now they're saying, well, what about Tulsi Gabbard? Oh, Tulsi Gabbard, she met with Assad. She met with. She's a dupe for the Soviets. Now, a nice satirical twist. Andy Borowitz report said Trump announces new CIA head, and he just puts a picture, Vladimir Putin. That's how outlandish the pics are so far, right? Pete Hegseth, what he did Fox? I mean, one conservative writer said he ran a lemonade stand in junior high. That's the most management experience he has. Tulsi Gabbard, well, we know she was, you know, going around the world to being led by Assad, being led, you know, she's a passing Soviet conspiracy theories or Russian conspiracy theories. I mean, is she the right person to be the head of national intelligence above all the other intelligence agencies, holding the secrets, knowing that she has this chummy relationship in the past? I mean, some people think there's the threat. And yeah, she's got service as a military veteran. But does she have managerial experience? No, she doesn't. Neither does Hegseth on the DOD, on the DOJ, Department of Justice. Matt Gaetz, he's the guy everyone's kind of saying, are you kidding, Matt Gaetz? I mean, the only reason he resigned, you know, it was sort of like a twin set of news events for Matt Gaetz yesterday. He had to resign as a congressman from Florida to bypass an ethics probe that was about to release the report on his, you know, his ethics charges. There are ethics charges against him, and a lot has to do with an allegation that he slept with a 17-year-old. And this is from Kevin McCarthy, the ousted House leader, who, in fairness, he said those things publicly because it was Matt Gaetz who led the charge to oust Kevin McCarthy. But that's not enough to say dismiss what Kevin McCarthy said. Kevin McCarthy said it because it's true, but he also wanted to expose what's happening with Matt Gaetz. That Matt Gaetz, all the things that are happening to Matt Gaetz is so that he can get his own minor get out of prison card, because, hey, we know the guy who has the major power and the big major, the big get out of prison, get out of jail card, Donald Trump. He won the election. Already, as we took to air, they had one judge delaying a trial for someone accused in January 6th because the implication was there was an impending pardon coming, for maybe a blanket pardon, which is upsetting. But these are things that are happening even while the Democrats are still in power, and Donald Trump is just preparing for his disruption. So how does that make you feel? I mean, really, it's almost like it's nonstop, and you hope for those good Saturdays when nothing happens. But this is the Trump administration, and chances are things will happen all the time, because Trump will have his phone. He'll go to social media, just like here was a statement from Donald Trump as we came on, because it's not just Gaetz, it's not just Tulsi Gabbard, it's not just Hegseth, Pete Hegseth. It's now, and believe me, before those guys came on, I had questions about Marco Rubio. Now, Marco Rubio, as the secretary, what is Marco Rubio now? I mean, Secretary of State, right? I mean, Marco Rubio now is seen as the adult in the room, which is odd enough, but so be it. He's seen as a serious one, and here come these others. And now, as I said, just as we were about to start, this statement from President Donald J. Trump. I am thrilled to announce Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services, HHS. For too long, Americans have been crushed by the industrial food complex and drug companies who've engaged in deception, misinformation, and disinformation when it comes to public health. The safety and health of all Americans is the most important role of any administration, and HHS will play a big role in helping ensure that everybody will be protected from harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives that have contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in this country. Of course, if Donald Trump really wanted to do something about harmful chemicals, pollutants, pesticides, pharmaceutical products, and food additives and all those things, he would have put in a much tougher EPA guy than Lee Zeldin. He would have put in someone who wouldn't be beholden to the corporates and let them put all the pollutants and chemicals and pesticides in our environment that would impact the food that we eat. So RFK Jr., man on a mission, man with a worm in his head, man who won't break for bears, man who will... What did he do with that bear? Had him in the trunk of his car. It says here that all those things, pollutants, chemicals, they've contributed to the overwhelming health crisis in this country, says Trump in this statement. Mr. Kennedy will restore these agencies to the traditions of the gold standard scientific research and beacons of transparency to end the chronic disease epidemic and to make America great and healthy again. Oh, man. I'm telling you, it's almost like a parody of itself when we see it actually played out. I mean, it was when Trump was campaigning, it looked like, oh, we are entering into this Orwellian world. And now when you see the press release that is sent via email from the Trump-Vance transition, it seems even more Orwellian, more strange, and we're not even on day one. We're not even of day one. We're in the pre-administration, and maybe we should have had a period where, hey, we'll give you a week and you show us what you're going to do, and they show us what they're going to do, and then we vote. Because I'm wondering if you'd still vote for Donald J. Trump. I mean, I saw a piece today. CNN did an excellent piece on Latino families in Houston. Mixed status, parents with green cards, kids, citizens, some family members, non-citizens. And here's the issue. If Donald Trump gets all of these people, these destructive agents that he wants to put in his cabinet, if he gets them through, it will be a green light to do anything he wants with deportations, with going after the enemy from within. Because putting in these people in his cabinet, Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard, he's pretty much, they have no experience. I'm kind of upset now. I could have grown up. I could have been defense secretary. I could have been defense secretary. Actually, my son-in-law, he could be defense. He's in the Navy now. He has as much experience as Gaetz. Put him in there. You get a pay raise. I mean, this is crazy to see all the unqualified people. It's almost like, is this Donald Trump's anti-DEI move? It's got to be. Let's put all these unqualified people in because they'll be part of the Yes Council. The people who will say yes to me and anything I want based on whatever I'm thinking, whatever I'm seeing on television, whatever movie I see, whatever thought comes in my head, I'm going to do it, and I have my Yes Council behind me. It sounds like it could be a good science fiction thing, although it's not science. It's real. It's America. It's right now, and it's, you know, you have to say that, all right, this is the cabinet, the no guardrails cabinet, but you have to figure that there are still some sane people in Washington of all, from both parties. I was going to say of all parties, but what parties are there? Republican and Democrat. But you got to figure that there must be enough sane people to say no. I mean, this is the test. Are there people like John Thune, who now is the Senate Majority Leader? I was reading up about Thune, and he said Thune is a person who actually was against the Access Hollywood video that got released in October of 2016 that should have stopped Trump, but nothing seems to stop Trump. But maybe now, this is like the game I play with all my Filipino friends. Whenever Trump did something like really egregious or outlandish, Muslim ban, et cetera, I'd say, now, have you changed your mind on this guy? And they'd say, oh, no. He's better than Hillary. And then something would happen. Now, oh, no. And it's almost as if it really doesn't matter. And so the people who care, the people who aren't part of the 50-something%, well, less than 50. If you're on the more than 50 side that are for him, you're saying, hey, let's give him a chance. Although amongst those immigrant families, one guy who I saw this report, he was undocumented and he voted for Trump because of the economy. And then the reporter asked, oh, what about your kids? Well, I mean, I guess the logic is it would be better for them because the economy is better. But what if you get deported? And he had no answer. And the ultimate answer is they're going to all deport together. So do we have the stomach for that? Does America have the stomach for that? And if we're all voting, if we all voted because of the price of eggs, that's a ridiculous thing. If you voted for Trump because the cost of living is so high, affordability was through the charts, you wanted something to be done about the price of eggs. Well, guess what? There's this other thing. He might bring down the price of eggs, but what if the price of freedom is too high? Then what? And we're not even sure about whether or not he's going to be able to do something about the price of eggs. I mean, the AP is reporting the food price inflation that stunned the U.S. in 2021, 2022 had complicated causes. Let's see. But let's get to the nut graph. As of October, U.S. prices for food eaten at home were up 28% from 2019, according to government figures released Wednesday. But the growth peaked in 2022 between October 23. Okay, let's see. Supermarket sticker shock nevertheless weighed on the U.S. electorate. About 7 in 10 voters, including 70% of women and 62% of men, said they were concerned about the cost of food and groceries. This is according to AP's VoteCast. Only 1 in 10 said they were not too concerned or not concerned at all. So Trump won decisively and said, well, what is the point of this damn article? It says food prices worried most voters, but Trump's plans likely won't lower their grocery bills. That's the headline. And then you got to search. You got to search for the damn point in this news story. Here's the thing about the way stories are written these days. They're all intended to keep you on the page longer. So instead of giving you that nut graph, that perfect nut graph, I mean, the headline said, oh, I'm going to find out why they're not likely to make a change. But it seems that the reason why they're not likely to have an impact is because Trump's plans are inflationary in nature. Tariffs, inflationary. If he deports people and companies end up losing employees, inflationary. Are food prices going to come down under those circumstances? No. But that's what you voted for. That's what you voted for. Especially painful when it comes to the Latino families of mixed status. But there's a lot of pain. I mean, you may have been able to comfort yourself from some of the rising prices and say, yeah, I'm not bothered by rising prices, but I swear, I went to the grocery store this week, found my fake cheese up 40% for fake cheese. What, they want me to try the real cheese? The real cheese that'll give me diabetes and a heart attack? 40% more for fake cheese. So I just want to say that even though, I'm vegan, I feel it. I used to say that to beat inflation, become vegan. The rice and beans, the greens, the berries. You'll escape a lot of the high prices, which usually come in dairy and meat, when you're going shopping. But like I said, I felt it this week. Trying to buy some fake cheese, the good kind. Yeah, you vegan cheese folks, Like, you can't just eat every vegan pizza out there. Some are better than others. But the cost, oh my God. So anyway, this is the world we find ourselves in. And I'm curious if you really thought that, Trump was going to solve it all, because I don't think he is. I think he's going to aggravate things. And I think also he doesn't care about food prices. He cares about the enemy from within. He cares about rooting them out. He cares about putting his people in, and he cares about the implosion of democracy, which I don't think I'm being alarmist by saying this, but you put in the kind of inexperienced people in there. How alarmed would you be if you went to a doctor and you were in need of brain surgery, and the brain surgeon was a college pre-med who had just finished a chapter on the brain? You would say, hell no, get me a doctor, get me a real brain surgeon, right? Same thing here. This is like going to battle, not with the real military behind you, but I don't know, new recruits from boot camp, because that's what it's like when you put Pete Hegseth in there running the Department of Defense. That's what it's like when you have Tulsi Gabbard in there playing around with the intelligence intelligence messages, trying to see which one to funnel out to Putin or to Assad. I mean, that's what you get when Matt Gaetz, who is in trouble with the law for several things. The investigation which was conducted by Congress goes nowhere because Matt Gaetz resigned yesterday before they could release the documents. But I think the reports are going to be leaked or will be out there. The Senate, in a confirmation, will want them. Meanwhile, Donald Trump wants to bypass the Senate if he can. And he can if they use the recess idea. They put the Senate on recess and they vote, or they bypass the vote, and whatever the president wants, he gets. But that would work with most ordinary Republicans. But the number of people who say publicly how much they hate Matt Gaetz is pretty impressive. That he can have so many people hate him and yet find himself still in a position to fail upwards because the guy who's pushing him has more legal problems than Matt Gaetz. That's an interesting issue, I think. Matt Gaetz is in trouble, but Donald Trump would be in more trouble. So I'm trying to find this other thing I want to talk about today. I should swish us out of this. Oh, I always do that because I forget. I forget to get us into swish mode. But there we are, back into swish mode. I was looking on X, formerly known as Twitter. A lot of people are saying, hey, I'm going to this, I think it's called Blue Sky. I don't know. They're going to. I don't do enough on Twitter, really. But I'm trying to learn Instagram, for goodness sakes. Instagram at Emil Amok 1. Anyway, Nate Silver, the pollster, 538, put out this statement. He said, and this has to do with the election, which I wrote a piece on. And I'm concerned because, the Democrats who will be meeting this week to try to figure out what is going on, they have to realize, what does the modern civil rights movement look like? How do you build a modern civil rights coalition? That because it's not old days. There's a new coalition of migrants, of peoples who face discrimination, of people who are battling to be a part of society. It's different from the 50s. It's different from the 60s. It's 2024. And the Democrats have to figure that out. Because if they don't, I don't know who's buying what they're preaching now. I mean, clearly, whatever they're preaching now, enough people weren't buying it who used to be part of that 80-90% civil rights voter conglomerate who stuck together and said, yeah, this is us. This is us. Now, Kamala Harris couldn't even get the civil rights voters that Joe Biden got. They all peeled away and they went to Donald Trump. I mean, if the civil rights vote was 80 or 90-10, 80%, 90% to 10%, if that was the old way, now it's more like 60 to 40%. 60 civil rights, 40, I'm a free agent. You're not going to get me. Or you got to show me, right? Everyone's from Missouri suddenly. So that's where we're at. We're at that 60-40 number, which is what Asian Americans are, which is what happened with Asian Americans voting. That's how they turned out for Harris, which is what happened to the Latino vote. More of them going to Trump because Trump was the aggrieved. Trump was the villain, or not the villain, but the victim. And that's how that vote swang in favor of Trump and not of Harris. And if you look at what Harris lost by, that margin of voters peeling away could have won it for her. So Nate Silver wrote about how the Democrats really, they didn't quite get the people, get the electorate this time out, because they failed. They really failed to take the temperature, right? Nate Silver wrote on his X post, the assumption that Black or Latino or Asian voters who voted for Trump don't have agency and must have been fooled by social media or podcasts is at best reductionist. Actually, I can think of another R word for it. I mean, means racist. It's racist to assume that I'm Filipino, I'm going to vote for Democrats. I'm Hispanic, I'm going to vote for Viva la Biden, Viva la Harris. But that was the assumption. I'm Black, I'm voting for Biden Harris. I'm voting for Harris Walls. I'm voting. That was the assumption. And Harris Walls couldn't even match Biden Harris. So more of what Nate Silver says. Another area of concern for Democrats is that Trump doubled his share of support among young Black men. As the civil rights movement fades further into the past, Black voters' cultural and traditional links to the Democratic Party are becoming less secure. Studies have also shown that Black Americans are now less likely to get their news from political and religious leaders than from social media platforms. Rogan has a sizable Black audience, more so than even The Breakfast Club. At first glance, it seems condescending to declare that voters made the wrong choice because they didn't know any better. That is condescending. I'll say that. However, on every major issue, voters were fundamentally misinformed, and insisting otherwise won't improve Democrats' chances in future elections. So, Democratic politicians and liberals need to quickly discover some way to engage in this Orwellian information environment. Otherwise, all the self-flagellation about messaging, failure, and policy changes won't amount to much. I mean, it's true. Someone made the assumption, oh, we got the Blacks. Oh, we got the Latinos, but not enough of them. We got the Blacks, but not enough of them. Still the vast majority, but not enough. Vast majority, 60-40. I mean, Asians were 60-40. Not enough. Not enough. We need a new coalition or a new sense of what we do to define this thing. Civil Rights 2.0. And it's got to include LGBTQ because they're on the chopping block. You know, the Trump campaign had their sights set on the trans, spending tens of billions of dollars. Tens of billions? That seems a bit much. Tens of millions of dollars. It's a lot of money. Kamala Harris herself spent $1 billion. $1 billion. Just her. So we got to rethink this. I don't have an answer. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, because each community is different. If immigration comes in waves, many waves, very frustrating. And how do you communicate? Asians have always felt that they were neglected and routinely say that's a call probably from a Democrat or Republican Party person saying, did you vote yet? I mean, they do ask that question in some Asian American polls. Have you been reached by the party? Have you people talked to you? And it'll surprise you, but the vast majority of people say, no, I've never been, they never reached out to me. It was my own initiative. You know, it's hard enough to vote now. People are turned off. They were mad. They were angry. They didn't like either of the candidates. The economy forced them all to sort of rally around Trump in some respects. But we see now that he's not about fixing the price of eggs. That doesn't seem to be a priority. He wants to put his people in the Department of Justice, in Homeland Security, in National Intelligence, in this, the State Department, and in the Department of Justice is the biggest thing, but all in a way that would be a detriment to our democracy. I like that idea, though. If you had a week, like a preview week, hey, we'll give you a preview week, do anything. Tell us anything you want to do. Let the voters know before you do it. I mean, if we had this 1 week, like if we had the election not on the 5th, but if we had it on the 15th, and we said on the 5th, hey, welcome to Show Me What You're Going to Do week. Tell me about all the odd people you're going to nominate. And this was a real jarring list, right? For Marco Rubio, you said, God, Marco Rubio? Is he considered an adult in the room now? And then as the other names were called, Marco Rubio seemed to be, he's all right. He's all right. Because you see the other names and you scratch it, Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Gaetz, RFK Jr. What's going on here? I want my father's Republican Party. I mean, I think that's a problem. I want, Reagan Republicans, they were bad, but they had respect for things. They didn't want the government to implode. And I think that's kind of the challenge. Can you get all these people that Trump want? Can you get them in without really destroying, the infrastructure of our government? I mean, I've heard people say this about Gaetz. Hey, Gaetz, how long can we trust him with the keys to the DOJ before he breaks every piece of furniture in in headquarters. I mean, it's amazing, really. And this is how you launch a soft revolution to get rid of the government. And then everyone is so locked into their own thing, they barely have time to watch the news, and they'll see, oh, our government is gone. Oh, we had a president, but Trump is going to be the only guy now? He's not going to share with Melania? Oh, Elon Musk is now his adopted son? Elon Musk is going to go. And we all get an electric car out of it? They're giving everyone an electric car? That's how they're going to buy off our ire? We get an electric car for... Oh, we have to build it ourselves. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm telling you, this is... I wrote a piece for the Inquirer.net saying how it looks like the United States is becoming the pro-Marcos era Philippines. Moving toward martial law, moving toward authoritarianism. The first time I ever heard the term cronyism, Philippines. And here you have King Crony himself, Mr. Dogecoin, Elon Musk. It's America. You wanted it. You voted it. You got it. And, I mean, how do you battle it? Well, you call your representative, call your members of Congress, because they act on your behalf, and you let them know that you don't want them to lay down. You want them to fight. You want them to stand up, because if all you have is resistance, then resist for as long as you can. I mean, by resistance, I mean, it's a typical play in Congress. Whenever the minority party is trying to either block or stop something, they'll drag their feet on votes. They'll adopt delaying tactics, which include the filibuster, which some people say, Emil, that's what you do on your Emil Amok's Takeout. It's just filibuster. I mean, of course not. All right, so let's see. I mean, Matt Gaetz. Oh man, Matt Gaetz, Tulsi Gabbard. I know Tulsi. I say we need an Asian American in there, but we don't need an Asian American. Not like Tulsi Gabbard. You got to think there's got to be better people out there. And I know what it's like to have an administration come in and people are excited. Same way when the Clintons came in, beat back the Bushes. People thought, oh, the Democrats have been out in the wilderness for so long, they're coming back in. And it was great. But, here's what I found. You look in what they call the Plum Book, which had all the books of the open positions in the Clinton administration. What could I do? I mean, really, if you weren't in a government bureaucratic type job, chances are there were no jobs for you. I mean, that was my feelings. It'd be kind of cool to be Secretary of HHS, but not really qualified. You know, that takes some ego to say, well, I'm not really qualified to be Department of Defense, Secretary of Department of Defense. I can't say I do it. I mean, what would qualify me? I mean, I've taken a few martial arts courses on YouTube. Hey, would that disqualify me? I know, it's crazy. The least qualified people want to be members of Trump's cabinet. I don't understand. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Hey, thank you for joining me. This is Emil contemplating the news. We're live most days, Monday through Friday. Back again tomorrow. Check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/Emil Amok. Also, my columns there, and you can also check out Substack, substack.com/Emil Amok, EMILAMOK. We're going to do a little loving kindness. That's what saves us, the love for others. Not the made up kind, the real kind. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal